Welcome to the era of the Purple Revolution. As the calendar flips to 2026, the world is holding its breath for one thing and one thing only: the long-awaited return of the Kings. BTS is officially back, and their 2026 World Tour isn't just a concert series, it's a global phenomenon that's rewriting every rule in the music industry playbook. But behind the glitz of the 360-degree stages and the deafening roar of millions of armies, a high-stakes war was waged in the elite boardrooms of Seoul and Los Angeles. You see, being the biggest group on the planet means every corporate giant wants a seat at the table. From Silicon Valley tech legends to the most iconic Las Vegas titans, the wealthiest corporations in America lined up with blank checks, desperate to plaster their logos next to RM, Jin, Suga, J-Hope, Jimin, V, and Jungkook. But here's the shocker that sent shockwaves through Wall Street. Hybe said no. In a move that left industry insiders whispering in disbelief, Hybe implemented a brutal scarcity model, turning down billions in sponsorship money. Why would a company reject the world's most powerful brands during the most expensive tour in history? What was the deal of the century that crashed and burned behind closed doors? Which iconic American sponsors were deemed not prestigious enough or too risky for the 2026 stage? Was it a clash of philosophies or a bold move to protect the BTS brand at any cost? Buckle up, because we're diving deep into the secret files of the tour that changed everything. Are you ready to find out which American giants were left out in the cold by the Bang PD empire? Let's count down the 7 most famous sponsors rejected by Hybe for the BTS 2026 World Tour. Number 7. The Silicon Valley giant's trillion-dollar cold shoulder, the Amazon exclusion. Imagine the scene. A high-security boardroom overlooking the Seattle skyline, where the air is thick with the scent of expensive espresso and the quiet hum of servers processing billions of transactions. On one side of the table, executives from the world's largest retail and streaming empire, Amazon, armed with a proposal so massive it could have funded a small nation's GDP. On the other, the strategic masterminds of Hybe, led by the vision of Chairman Bang Si-hyuk and CEO Jason Jae-sang Lee. The deal on the table? A comprehensive, multi-layered sponsorship for the BTS 2026 World Tour that would have integrated Amazon Music, Prime Video, and the AWS infrastructure into every single heartbeat of the tour. We are talking about the Amazonification of the K-pop experience, exclusive Prime member-only ticketing windows, a global live streaming rights package worth hundreds of millions, and a BTS store on the Amazon homepage that would have reached 200 million subscribers instantly. It was, by all accounts, the safest and most lucrative bet in the history of live entertainment. But then, the unthinkable happened. In a move that left Wall Street analysts scratching their heads and Amazon's leadership in a state of stunned silence, Hybe didn't just hesitate, they delivered a firm, calculated no. Why would anyone in their right mind turn down the Amazon machine? The reason lies in a high-stakes gamble on what Hybe calls the scarcity model. You see, as we enter 2026, Hybe has realized that the true power of BTS doesn't lie in being everywhere, but in being exclusive. By rejecting Amazon, Hybe was protecting the sanctity of their own ecosystem. Reverse. If Amazon had taken the reins, they would have owned the data. They would have known exactly who every army is, what they buy, where they live, and how they scream. For Hybe, that data is the new gold. They refuse to let a Silicon Valley titan become the middleman between the 7 members and their fans. There was also a deeper, more emotional reason rooted in the premium brand philosophy. Hybe feared that a massive Amazon partnership would turn the 2026 tour into a mass-market commodity, something you'd buy alongside laundry detergent or a new toaster. They wanted the Purple Revolution to feel like a once-in-a-lifetime pilgrimage, not a Prime Day special. This rejection wasn't just about money, it was about the battle for the soul of the digital fan experience. Hybe CEO Jason Lee had already hinted in his New Year's address that 2026 would be the year they prove the value of artist IP over corporate utility. By turning away Amazon's billions, Hybe sent a clear message to the world. We don't need your infrastructure. We are the infrastructure. The atmosphere during those final hours of negotiation was described by insiders as frosty, with Amazon reportedly offering to double their marketing spend in the final 48 hours, only to be met with a polite but ironclad rejection. It was a moment of pure industry disruption, where a South Korean entertainment powerhouse told a trillion-dollar American tech titan that their money wasn't enough to buy the magic of BTS. This decision meant that every ticket, every piece of merch, and every digital stream would remain strictly within the Hybe 2 universe, ensuring that the profit and the connection remained 100% pure. It was a risky, bold, and some might say arrogant move, but it set the tone for the entire 2026 tour. The fans wouldn't be customers of a retail giant, they would be members of a global family. As the news of the failed deal leaked, Amazon stock saw a minor dip while Hybe surged, as investors realized they weren't just backing a music group, but a company that had the guts to say no to the most powerful man in retail. This was the first domino to fall in a series of shocking rejections that would define the most prestigious tour in human history. It makes you wonder, if a trillion-dollar giant like Amazon couldn't make the cut, who else was left in the cold? Number 6. The Martian Dream Denied, the Tesla-SpaceX Interstellar Snub. In early 2026, as the world prepared for the BTS Resonance World Tour, a proposal landed on the desk of Hybe's global strategy team that looked like something out of a science fiction movie. It wasn't just a sponsorship, it was a vision of the future written in the bold, unapologetic ink of Elon Musk. The proposal suggested a partnership that would have seen Tesla as the official electric vehicle partner for the North American leg, with Cybertrucks transporting the members in an armored convoy across the states, and even more daring, a live-streamed performance component involving SpaceX Starlink satellites to provide uninterrupted space-grade connectivity for fans in the most remote corners of the globe. Musk, ever the showman, reportedly even discussed a symbolic gesture of launching a purple satellite into orbit. It was a deal worth astronomical figures, designed to align the world's most innovative tech brand with the world's most influential cultural icons. On paper, it was a match made in PR heaven, two forces of nature that had both redefined their respective industries. However, after weeks of intense deliberation that reportedly involved deep dives into brand sentiment and long-term ethical alignment, Hybe pulled the plug. The rejection sent a shockwave through the tech corridors of Austin and the creative hubs of Seoul. Why would Hybe say no to the man who is literally aiming for the stars? The reason was multi-layered and deeply rooted in the brand safety and emotional integrity of BTS. In 2026, the BTS brand is viewed as a healing force, a symbol of unity, empathy, and social responsibility. Tesla, despite its innovation, had become a lightning rod for controversy, often associated with the volatile public persona of its CEO. Hybe's internal research suggested that partnering with such a polarizing figure could alienate segments of the army who felt the brand's values no longer aligned with the inclusive and grounded nature of the septet. There was also a logistical concern that bordered on the obsessive, the overshadowing effect. Hybe executives were reportedly concerned that the sheer noise of a Musk partnership, the tweets, the stunts, the inevitable media circus surrounding the tech billionaire would drown out the music and the message of the tour itself. They didn't want the headlines to read Musk and BTS, they wanted them to read BTS and Army. Furthermore, the SpaceX element of the deal, while flashy, was deemed technologically unnecessary, given the existing high-speed infrastructure in the US, and Hybe preferred to maintain total control over their broadcast quality without relying on an external partner's experimental satellite tech. This wasn't just a business rejection, it was a statement of independence. By turning down Tesla and SpaceX, Hybe was asserting that BTS is a sovereign cultural entity that does not need hype from the tech world to be relevant. They chose to keep the focus on the human connection rather than the machine. The rejection was so significant that it reportedly led to a brief but intense exchange of words in industry circles, with Musk fans and K-pop fans debating the merits of the move for weeks. For Hybe, the risk of brand contamination was simply too high. They wanted the 2026 tour to be a sanctuary of pure emotion, free from the turbulent politics of Silicon Valley. This decision was a masterclass in protective brand management, proving that in the world of BTS, no amount of future tech or interstellar ambition is worth compromising the core identity of the group. As the Cybertrucks were left in the garage and the Starlink proposal was filed away under Rejected, the world began to realize that Hybe wasn't just looking for sponsors, they were looking for partners who shared their soul, and clearly, the techno king didn't fit the vibe. This rejection left a massive hole in the tour's transport budget, but Hybe didn't blink, opting instead for a quieter, more sustainable partnership with a traditional automotive giant that allowed the members to remain the sole focus of the spotlight. It was a moment of profound reflection. In an era where everyone wants to go to Mars, BTS reminded us that the most important journey is the one that happens right here on Earth, between 7 artists and the millions who love them. The no to Tesla was a yes to the intimacy of the ARMY experience, ensuring that the 2026 tour would remain a human story, not a corporate tech demo. Number 5. The fast food empire's multi-billion-dollar menu. The McDonald's global takeover, rejected. Imagine the scent of golden fries and the iconic "I'm lovin' it" jingle echoing through tens of thousands of locations across the United States. In late 2025, a massive proposal landed on the desks of Hybe's top brass in Seoul, a sequel to the legendary 2021 BTS meal that had literally broken the internet and shattered sales records. But this time the stakes were infinitely higher. McDonald's wasn't just asking for a limited-time dipping sauce, they were offering to become the official, presenting sponsor of the entire 2026 North American tour. We are talking about the McDonald's Presents BTS Resonance Tour, a deal that would have seen a custom ARMY combo in every drive-thru, exclusive ticket giveaways hidden in Big Mac boxes, and massive pop-up Golden Arches experiences at every stadium from MetLife to SoFi. The financial figure attached to this proposal was rumored to be one of the largest single-tour sponsorship offers in the history of the music industry, a check so large it could have covered the entire production cost of 360-degree stage and then some. For a company like Hybe, which had seen its profits dip during the members' military service, this was the ultimate safe bet. But in a move that sent shockwaves through the marketing world, Hybe delivered a firm, strategic no. The reasons behind this rejection were as calculated as they were surprising. First and foremost, the 2026 return of BTS was themed around resonance, healing, and rebirth. Hybe's creative team felt that a massive, neon yellow fast food tie-in would create a brand dissonance that clashed with the high-concept, artistic aesthetic of the new era. They didn't want the profound emotional reunion between BTS and ARMY to be associated with a value meal or fast consumption. There was also a growing internal push within Hybe to align the group with premium sustainability and holistic wellness, a direction that many felt was incompatible with a global fast food giant. But perhaps the most cutting reason was the ARMY protection policy. Hybe knew that a McDonald's partnership would inevitably lead to chaotic crowds at restaurants, supply chain shortages, and a commercialization overload that could exhaust the fandom before they even reached the stadium gates. They wanted the tour to feel like a sacred, exclusive event, not a mass-market promotion. By rejecting the Golden Arches, Hybe effectively turned their backs on a guaranteed multi-billion-dollar marketing machine, choosing instead to keep the tour's identity pure and artist-centric. This was a bold statement of autonomy. BTS no longer needed the world's biggest brands to prove their status. They were the brand. The atmosphere after the rejection was reportedly one of disbelief at McDonald's headquarters in Chicago, where executives had already begun drafting the purple menu marketing materials. Hybe's decision to choose art over Mac became a legendary case study in celebrity brand management, proving that sometimes the most powerful thing you can do for your image is say no to the biggest check in the room. This move ensured that when fans finally saw those 7 figures on stage, they weren't thinking about a burger. They were feeling the raw, unfiltered energy of a group that had reclaimed its own narrative. It leaves us wondering, if the king of fast food was turned away at the door, which other American icon was about to face the same fate? Number 4. The Battle of the Promoters. The Coachella ownership gamble. Now, we enter the shark-infested waters of the live entertainment industry, where the stakes aren't just in the millions, but in the very ownership of culture itself. As the 2026 World Tour planning reached a fever pitch, the air in the high-end real estate of Los Angeles grew thick, with a rumor that seemed too audacious even for the most ambitious K-pop agency. For years, the North American touring landscape has been a duopoly between two titans, Live Nation and AEG Presents. But for the 2026 Resonance Tour, Hybe wasn't looking for a mere promoter. They were looking to rewrite the hierarchy of global festivals. The spotlight for this specific rejection falls on the influence of J-Hope, the stage commander, whose historic 2022 Lollapalooza headline set proved that BTS members weren't just pop stars, they were festival-level legends who could command a crowd of 100,000 with nothing but a microphone and pure charisma. With J-Hope's standard of performance as their ultimate leverage, Hybe entered negotiations with AEG Presents, the parent company of the world-renowned Coachella Valley Music and Arts Festival. The proposal that allegedly leaked from the inner circles of Hits Daily Double was nothing short of a corporate coup. Rumor has it that Hybe offered AEG the exclusive rights to promote the entire BTS 2026 World Tour, a guaranteed multi-billion-dollar revenue stream, but with one staggering non-negotiable condition. Hybe wanted a 50% ownership stake in Coachella. They didn't just want to perform, they wanted to own the most influential stage in America. Imagine the audacity. Using the Hybe standard of high-octane artistic festival sets, Hybe argued that they were the future of live music and deserved a seat at the head of the Coachella table. However, AEG, a company that guards its crown jewel festival with a ferocity rarely seen in business, reportedly found the demand preposterous. The tension in those meetings was described as electric and toxic, a clash of two different worlds of ego. AEG saw BTS as the ultimate get, but they saw Coachella as sacred ground that no outside entity, especially a foreign entertainment giant, should ever control. The negotiation reached a dead end when AEG realized that Hybe was willing to walk away from the table if they weren't given the keys to the kingdom. And walk away they did. In a move that left AEG executives in a state of absolute shock, Hybe pivoted and signed a massive deal with their arch-rival, Live Nation, leaving AEG with a hole in their 2026 schedule that no other artist could possibly fill. This rejection was deeply personal and symbolic. By turning down AEG's standard promotion deal, Hybe was protecting the legacy that J-Hope had built, a legacy where the artist is not just a guest at a festival, but a force that defines the festival itself. Hybe refused to let BTS be used as a shiny toy to boost AEG's portfolio unless they had total creative and financial control over the platform. The Coachella gamble became the talk of the 2026 Golden Globes and industry panels, as experts debated whether Hybe's all-or-nothing approach was a stroke of genius or a burning mistake. For the fans, this meant that the 2026 tour would be strictly a BTS-headlined event, free from the festival circuit politics that often dilute the experience. The atmosphere of this rejection was one of high-stakes Game of Thrones-style maneuvering, where the son of BTS, J-Hope, served as the ultimate bargaining chip that Hybe refused to sell short. This wasn't just about tour dates, it was about who gets to define the new world order of the music industry. As the dust settled and AEG was left out in the cold, the industry realized that Hybe's ambition knew no bounds. They were no longer playing by the rules of the American music industry, they were making their own. It was a moment of profound reflection for the big two promoters. Either you give Hybe exactly what they want, or you watch from the sidelines as they build their own empire with Live Nation. The rejection of AEG and the Coachella stake was a testament to the fact that BTS has reached a level of power where even the world's most famous music festival is considered negotiable. It leaves us with a haunting question. If the kings of the festival world were rejected, what happens when the most iconic luxury brand in American history tries to buy their way onto the 2026 stage? Number 3. The Golden Vault of Manhattan? The Tiffany Co. luxury lockdown. As the 2026 World Tour moved from a concept into a global logistical marvel, a proposal arrived from the heart of Fifth Avenue that was literally dripping in diamonds and legacy. Tiffany Co., the undisputed icon of American luxury, sought to become the official jewelry and lifestyle partner of the BTS Resonance Tour. Now, we have to look at this through the lens of Jimin, the global it boy, and the face of modern elegance who had already established a profound relationship with the brand as a global ambassador. Tiffany's vision for 2026 was unprecedented. They proposed creating a limited edition Resonance collection crafted from solid platinum and rare purple sapphires, available exclusively to VIP ticket holders. They wanted to transform the backstage lounges into Tiffany blue boxes, and even offered to design a custom diamond-encrusted microphone set for the entire group, valued at millions of dollars. The deal was designed to elevate the BTS tour into the stratosphere of high art couture, blending the grit of a stadium concert with the prestige of a Met Gala after-party. For most artists, this would be the pinnacle of a career, the ultimate validation of their luxury status. But in a boardroom decision that left the fashion elite of Paris and New York in absolute tatters, Hybe said no. This rejection was one of the most emotionally charged and strategically complex of the entire tour. Why would Hybe turn down a brand that Jimin himself represented? The reason was a calculated move to protect the democratic soul of the army. Hybe's internal data team raised a major red flag, a massive, centralized partnership with an ultra-luxury brand like Tiffany Co. During the most expensive tour in history risked creating a class divide within the fandom. They were terrified that the tour would become associated with the 1%, making the average fan feel excluded from the premium experience. Jimin, known for his deep empathy and connection to fans, was reportedly a key voice in this philosophy. The decision was made to keep the tour's aesthetic accessible high fashion, a blend of street style and high-end pieces that fans could emulate, rather than unattainable luxury that existed behind a velvet rope. Hybe argued that while individual members could maintain their luxury ambassadorships, the tour itself must belong to everyone, not just those who could afford a 5-figure necklace. There was also a logistical concern. The security nightmare. Having millions of dollars worth of Tiffany diamonds integrated into the tour's daily operations would have required a level of security that Hybe felt would suffocate the artist's freedom on stage and the fans' energy in the pit. They didn't want the members to be moving jewelry displays. They wanted them to be performers. The rejection was so definitive that Tiffany Co. reportedly had to scrap an entire marketing campaign that had already been storyboarded. By saying no to the blue box, Hybe protected the purple heart of the group, ensuring that the 2026 tour remained a space where a fan in a DIY t-shirt felt just as important as a celebrity in the front row. It was a moment of profound reflection on what luxury actually means in 2026. Is it a diamond, or is it the shared experience of a song? Hybe chose the song. This move sent a clear message to the luxury world. You can dress the members, but you cannot own the tour. As the Manhattan executives retreated, the industry realized that Hybe was prioritizing the emotional equity of the fans over the status equity of the brand. This rejection ensured that the Resonance Tour wouldn't be a parade of wealth, but a celebration of human connection. But as one door closed on Fifth Avenue, another was being kicked down by the kings of American media, and the rejection they faced would be even more public. Number 2. The Red Carpet's Golden Chains, the Disney Plus exclusive streaming siege. Step into the world of high-definition global streaming, where the battle for content is more cutthroat than any Hollywood thriller you've ever seen. As 2026 dawned, the biggest question in the entertainment industry wasn't who would win the Oscars, but where the world could watch the historic return of BTS. The Resonance World Tour was projected to be the most watched musical event in the history of the internet, and every major streaming platform from Netflix to Apple TV Plus was ready to bleed money to secure the rights. But none were as aggressive as the Walt Disney Company. Having already established a successful partnership with Hybe during the members' hiatus, with projects like BTS Monuments, Beyond the Star, and Are You Sure?, Disney Plus executives felt they had an inside track to the ultimate prize. They didn't just want a concert film, they wanted the exclusive, all-access, multi-year rights to every single minute of the 2026 comeback, the rehearsals, the backstage tears, the private jet conversations, and the global stadium live streams. The offer on the table was whispered to be a staggering $500 million contract, a golden chain, that would have made BTS the centerpiece of Disney's global content strategy for the next decade. At the heart of this storm was Kim Tae-young, the man whose Disney Prince, visuals, and cinematic aura have made him a focal point for global media. Disney's marketing team had already envisioned a V-centric documentary series, capitalizing on his solo success and his natural magnetism on screen. They wanted to package the 2026 tour as the ultimate coming-home story, polished with that signature Disney magic. But then, the atmosphere in the glass-walled offices of Hybe Youngsan turned cold. In a move that left Burbank in a state of paralysis, Hybe rejected the Disney Plus exclusive siege. The decision wasn't just about the money, it was a total rejection of what Hybe insiders called the Disneyfication of the group's legacy. In 2026, the members were returning as men in their late 20s and early 30s, having endured the rigors of military service and the weight of being global symbols. Hybe's creative vision for the Resonance era was one of raw, unfiltered truth, sweat, exhaustion, and the complicated reality of a group reclaiming its crown. They feared that a Disney partnership would force a family-friendly filter over the narrative, sanitizing the grit and the raw emotional depth that armies have come to expect. Hybe's CEO reportedly stated in a private memo that BTS's story is not a fairy tale, it's a revolution, and a revolution cannot be owned by a mouse. But the most strategic reason for this no was the battle for platform sovereignty. Hybe had spent years building Weverse into a digital nation-state. By giving the exclusive streaming rights to Disney+, they would be handing over their most valuable asset, fan engagement data, to a Western giant. They realized that if a fan wants to watch the 2026 tour, they should do it on Hybe's turf, not through a third-party subscription. This rejection was a massive blow to Disney's Asia-Pacific growth strategy, which had heavily relied on the BTS effect to drive subscriber numbers. The news of the failed deal sent ripples through the industry, with analysts questioning if Hybe was being too protective or if they were truly geniuses for prioritizing brand integrity over a $500 million paycheck. For the fans, this decision meant that the 2026 content would remain by Army, for Army, hosted on the Weverse platform where the connection is direct and the translation is handled by the community itself. It ensured that the documentary of their return wouldn't be a polished PR piece, but a hauntingly beautiful, honest look at 7 artists at the height of their power. The rejection of Disney Plus was the final confirmation that BTS had outgrown the traditional content creator label. They were now the content controllers. As the red carpet was rolled back and the Disney executives flew back to California empty-handed, the industry stood in awe of a South Korean company that had the audacity to tell the world's biggest media empire that their Magic Kingdom wasn't big enough for Bangtan. This was a moment of profound reflection. In an age where everything is for sale to the highest bidder, Hybe proved that some stories are too sacred to be bought. It leaves us at the edge of our seats, wondering, if the world's biggest streaming service was denied the crown, who is the #1 sponsor that Hybe turned down, the one that would have changed the very face of America's most famous city?
Number 1, the Excalibur of Las Vegas, the MSG Sphere exclusive lockdown. We have reached the summit of the Rejection Mountain, and it sits under the glowing 360-degree digital skin of the most advanced entertainment venue on the planet, the Sphere at the Venetian in Las Vegas. As the planning for the 2026 Resonance tour entered its final, most secretive phase, a proposal was hand-delivered from the executives of MSG Entertainment that would have redefined the very concept of a residency. They didn't just want BTS to play a few shows. They offered an interstellar residency that would have seen the septet take over the Sphere for an entire month, transforming the external exosphere into a giant, pulsating purple planet visible from space. The deal included a technical collaboration where the Sphere's 16K wraparound LED screen would be used to create a Neuralink visual experience, synchronized with the members' live performances in a way that had never been attempted in human history. The financial guarantees were rumored to be the highest ever offered to any musical act, a blank check scenario designed to make the BTS 2026 tour the singular defining event of the decade. But in a move that caused a total eclipse in the Las Vegas business circuit, Hybe said no. This final rejection was the ultimate expression of the Resonance philosophy. Why turn down the world's most advanced stage? The answer lies in the group's leader RM and his vision for the democratic space. Hybe and the members felt that while the Sphere was a technological marvel, it was fundamentally a limited-capacity experience. With a seating capacity of around 18,000, even a month-long residency would only accommodate a fraction of the millions of armies desperate to witness the reunion. Hybe's internal mission for 2026 was maximum reach, minimum barrier. They chose the sprawling open-air stadiums like Allegiant Stadium and MetLife over the Sphere because they wanted the roar of 60,000 to 80,000 voices, a raw human energy that no digital screen, no matter how high definition, could ever replicate. There was also a fierce battle over creative sovereignty. MSG Entertainment reportedly wanted to co-produce the show's visuals to showcase the Sphere's capabilities, but Hybe's production team insisted on 100% control over the Resonance aesthetic. They refused to let the venue become the star of the show. By rejecting the Sphere, Hybe prioritized the shared emotion of the stadium crowd over the gimmickry of the tech world. It was a moment of profound reflection on the nature of live music. In 2026, the greatest special effect isn't a 16K screen, it's 7 men standing in a circle surrounded by a sea of purple lights. The Rejection sent a clear message to the entertainment world: BTS doesn't need a high-tech sphere to be the center of the universe, they already are. This decision ensured that the 2026 tour would be a raw, massive, and inclusive celebration, proving that the heart of Bangtan is found in the connection with the people, not in the confines of a digital dome. As the lights of the sphere stayed blue and the stadiums turned purple, the world finally understood. For BTS, the world is the only stage big enough.